Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Katamari Damacy. I'm Nai.
I'm Mako, and we are making a 8 star.
Yep.
You were trying to work out how to pronounce that.
Yeah, I'm not.
Zdravstvuyte.
I'm not trying. It's not gonna happen.
I'm sure someone out there will tell me I'm wrong.
I'm sure.
Even if I'm right, I'm sure someone will tell me I'm wrong. But I'd like to know if I'm right.
It would be pretty nice, but I'm sure there's some pronunciation, something or other in there.
I'm gonna say, listeners, if you know how to pronounce that, please let me know. I'm actually curious now.
It is a weird thing.
Movies, programs, elephants,
Giraffes.
and you start off surrounded by mice.
I remember saying that I was worried they were gonna mug me, and in fact they did. They in fact did mug me multiple times. This ends up being one of the longer episodes in the game, longer levels too, for that matter. It's an 18-minute level.
Yep.
And because I'm not like trying to speedrun, I'm going for I got mugged. I'm actually going for score attacks, mugged again. Since I'm not going for score attack, I will actually use every one of those 18 minutes. This is going to be a little bit of a longer episode because of that.
You just means that you get more of us.
Mm-hmm. This is a lot of fun. I always enjoyed this sort of start because for some reason the takoyakis and cream puffs is a fun start because you do end up seeing the mess on your Katamari very quickly. It's a fun thing. They don't get absorbed quite as quickly as you might expect, so you do have a bunch of stuff attached.
I never really got takoyaki, but I'm not a seafood person, strangely. Like, I love a lot of Japanese food, but I never got seafood.
I mean, I eat a fair amount of seafood anyways.
Well, yeah,
not a ton, but I...
That might also be a function of where you're from.
Well, I'm from Colorado. Let's
well, from as in where you live.
Well, I was big into seafood in Colorado too. It's a thing that it's kind of weird too, because my mom isn't. She is allergic to iodine, which is it's a fairly common allergy.
Really?
And the reason why that matters is because any shellfish at all have iodine in their shells. So it's anything crustacean, anything shellfish, doesn't matter. And it's a really bad allergic reaction for her because if she has it, it's pretty much immediate anaphylactic shock. For those who don't have allergies or are not medically related, anaphylactic shock means that your throat swells up and you are unable to breathe. It's
this
really
is the
bad.
sort of thing an EpiPen is for.
Yeah, it's that's one of the worst allergic reactions you can have. One of the most life-threatening. In terms of like my skin is not burning off type of reactions. So she has to deal with that. So she's of course worried about that. So she doesn't eat seafood just kind of in general because she's worried about having an allergic reaction.
That's good and safe, I suppose.
Well, in a similar way, so I didn't inherit that allergic reaction. My allergy is to nuts. And this is kind of weird because there's two types of nut allergies in the world, as far as I can tell in general. You're allergic to peanuts, and apparently that's the common one.
Yeah.
A lot of people are allergic to peanuts. I'm the other one. I'm allergic to everything that isn't a peanut. Because remember, peanuts are not nuts. Nobody gets this if they're
a
not,
legume, technically, aren't they?
Yeah. If you don't have this particular allergy, or if you don't have the quote unquote nut allergy, you don't get it. But peanuts are not nuts. They're closer to potatoes. They grow in ground. The nuts I'm allergic to grows on trees and bushes. I don't know why there's a difference, but there's some protein that my body does not like. And this gave me a lot of trouble growing up because nuts were everywhere. And when I was growing up, there was a lot less of this focus on allergies and labeling foods and things like that. So frequently I would just eat a cookie, and it's just, oh, by the way, this cookie happens to be a macadamia nut cookie. Oh, you're kidding me. But, keep in mind, things change as you grow up. So when I was growing up, my nut allergy was not a terrible thing. It wasn't I'm gonna die. It was I'm gonna be queasy for a while, and then I'm gonna throw up for a while, and then I'm gonna go take a shower, because now I don't feel good. But that was it. And it wasn't until later that I started, that I had anaphylactic shock. And I've avoided nuts religiously since then. I think I've already told that story on stream. But, so my mom is definitely allergic to shellfish. So she doesn't eat seafood kind of in general, just as a safety thing. There's not too much worry about cross-contamination, you know, for the most part. Like, most restaurants are fairly good about keeping that stuff apart, but she's just worried about it in general. She never developed the taste. I, on the other hand, did. And she doesn't, like, I guess she also just doesn't like the taste. She doesn't like the taste of things that are fishy.
Yeah.
I don't really like tuna particularly, but I do like sea bass and things like that. Sea bass. There's stuff that I like that
See, my dad is he's British, and he's like boarding school British, so he's the kind of guy who eats just about anything.
Yep.
But he specifically loves seafood, and it drives me and my mum nuts because neither of us like seafood very much. Like, I'll eat fish and chips, but that's about the extent of what I'll have.
Yeah. It's not a thing that comes up much, but one of the things that we do, one of our, I don't do this as much anymore, but one of our family traditions has been that when one of us has a birthday, we kind of traditionally go to a Chinese food place for the birthday. Like, that's where we go to get to eat. And generally, the Chinese food place we choose is P.F. Chang's, because there's one very close to our house, and they're fairly reasonably priced. Now, keep in mind, for anybody who knows this restaurant, we are gradually growing to not like P.F. Chang's because they're going way too corporate. Their menu has shrunk to half its original size. A lot of the stuff we used to like, they don't even serve anymore. Still a good restaurant, but the stuff we actually went for doesn't exist anymore. But one of my traditions I used to get the, I think it's called the oolong sea bass, which is just a fillet of fish, fillet of oolong sea bass, that has a, just like this, I guess soy sauce on it. That's it. That's all it is. It's very, very simple. It has, I think it has spinach, underneath it. I was the only one who would eat it. Which is a shame, because it's really expensive, so that's one of the reasons why I no longer get it. But, that was always fun. One thing I remember you saying about this point is you were pointing out to people that the levels are interconnected in a big way.
Yeah.
We actually left the city level, and now we're on the lake level, where
from the bears, where all the bears were.
Was. Yep.
Now, see, your Chinese thing reminds me. I love Chinese food. Like, my dad loves Indian food. My mom's partial Greek. I love Chinese food. Like, it is my favorite food. I would eat it most of the time. But we have had a string of very bad luck with Chinese places around here lately. For the longest time, shortly after we moved into this town, which was, like 25 years ago, we went to this place called the Mayfu Garden. It was a beautiful place. It was, it was nice, all you can eat buffet, good selection, fairly cheap. And then, one day they decided they are going to sell the place and go elsewhere. And they told their workers about the time that they had sold the building.
Oh, wow.
So we were left without a Chinese place for a little while. But shortly thereafter, a new place opened up nearby, calling itself the Red Maple. And
because this sounds Chinese.
Yes, but also Canadian, so,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It was what I would recall American Chinese rather than traditional Chinese.
Right.
And again, all you can eat, and it was, because there was no other Chinese, like, the only other Chinese place in town was the Mandarin, which is a big chain.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that sounds expensive.
It wasn't actually expensive, but it's a chain, so it suffers for it.
Yeah.
And so, for the Red Maple operated for about 2 years. And one day we go there, and it's New Year's Eve, and we've decided, screw it, we don't feel like doing anything else special. We've got our New Year, we've got, like, a little bit after New Year, our special lunch planned. Then we're going out and we're doing, New Year's Eve dinner there. We'd made reservations and everything. And, the place was packed. They were doing well. We knew a couple of people who worked there. Like, not but, we'd been going there long enough that we were on sort of first-name basis with a couple of the servers. So we go there, we eat, we have fun, etc. And I go out to Chinese on a fairly regular basis. It's about the only thing I actually do go out to eat, like, when I get the option.
Yeah.
So I go out, and I go there about, 4 days later, 3 or 4 days later, then later that week. The building is utterly gutted on the inside, and there are signs on the door saying that the landlord is very unhappy with them for non-payment of services and rent. Sometime time in the 3 days between we had last seen them, and they had I'd gone there, the management had pulled up everything and left in the middle of the night.
Huh.
Since then, the only buffet Chinese place in town has been the Mandarin. There's been like a handful of really small ones, but it's small in the way that you really wouldn't want to eat at a small buffet kind of place.
Yeah. The only time I ever had a situation like that was actually a local GameStop, and I felt so bad for this because it's the customers I felt bad for. So the local store was in a kind of a fairly large mall.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not a good mall, I'll be honest. This mall is pretty trashy. Doesn't have a lot of really good stores. Half the mall is empty. So it's not. This isn't where you want to have your store anyways. And I gather that corporate was potentially going to shut the store down anyways. But they were getting up to their. They were, I think it was something like 8 months out from the expiration of their lease. Now, anybody who knows property knows that this is about the time you start talking about
whether or not you're going to be hanging in there or not.
Yeah, are you going to renew your lease or not? And I gather that corporate was thinking about it, but wasn't sure what they wanted to do. Well, the mall's management contacted them and said, hey, your lease is going to be up in something like 6 to 8 months. Are you guys renewing? And GameStop apparently said something to the tune of, we're not sure. We need to look at the numbers, and we haven't decided yet. We'll talk to you later. And the mall said, no, you will give us an answer now. And GameStop said, no, we won't. That's not how this works. The mall said, okay, well, if you're not giving us an answer now, we're evicting you. Get out. Keep in mind, this is not legal. This is, this is breach of contract. Because the contract says that, the company is paid up for X amount of time. By the way, I just hit that 10-meter mark, and you can see that I have a lot of time left.
Mm-hmm.
That only took 10 minutes, and we have, 7 minutes left.
24 seconds. You still got 7 minutes to go.
If we got time. So that's breach of contract, and that's kind of a big deal. But I gather that the company just wasn't interested in fighting it. They didn't care. And so this really says a lot about how much money this building actually made. So from what I gather, GameStop got an entire store gutted within 24 hours because that was all the time that the mall was going to give them. So they had 24 hours notice to take everything out of the store. And that was it. I have never seen a store vanish that quick.
I should note that the location of the Red Maple was at, we have to drive past there on a regular basis. No one has been in there since. Like that other section of the mall that they were in has been abandoned since then.
Yep.
No, we were talking about allergies. Getting off of the takoyaki and seafood. I feel very lucky. My family has a very limited number of allergies, and most of them are, if not non-existent, then extremely uncommon.
Yeah.
Which, I have one allergy that we know of, and it was a problem during elementary school, but it wasn't a food allergy. I was I had a medical reason for not wanting or being able to wear sneakers.
Okay.
There is something in the glue that they use for bonding sneakers, in the soles of sneakers. And it gives me an allergic reaction that it causes my feet to react in a way not unlike chickenpox. They rash up, they become incredibly.
Oh, fun.
So yeah, and what's more, it was school policy that you have to wear running shoes for gym class. So we had a whole rigmarole for that.
Yep. Well, there's school policy and then there's intelligent policy, and never the tween shall meet.
Oh,
there's
God,
the big turn-up from earlier.
Yay!
You guys may have seen that way back, at the 5-minute mark.
Yeah.
I was picking up carrots, and there's this gigantic thing on the ground. That was the big turnip.
We rolled past it several times. I don't know if we actually managed to pull it up, did we?
Yeah, I just picked it up. You can see it. It's on the Katamari.
There we are.
At the bottom left right now.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. If you can see it, if you can get big enough, you can pick it up. I remember school policies were always very, very weird.
Well, there's to give it another example of that. Anyway, to finish my original story, so even to this day, like I can't wear things, and unfortunately, because my feet are, we've had this discussion about shoe size.
Yeah.
Getting shoes in my size is not easy. I used to wear loafers right up until they stopped making the brand that I wore. Not because it was necessarily comfortable, although it was. And here we see the cherubs, which is a signal to us that we have pretty much picked up everything you can in the level.
Yeah, cherubs generally indicate a number of things, but one of them is you have literally reached the maximum size that you're really going to hit. You might still be able to pick stuff up, and I spent the last 4 minutes. So basically, at the 4-minute mark, we're done. I did the last 4 minutes trying to see if there's anything else I could pick up, any random item.
Anyway, yeah, school policy. In high school, we had a high school. It was right around the time they started having this absolutely no touching thing going on. So we had the VPs standing by the doors to the cafeteria, frisking students, but with using those grabber hands.
Because this works.
Of course, this is another one who vehemently believed that nobody would recognize the fact that he was wearing the most fake toupee. I mean, it didn't even match his natural hair color.
Yep.
So yeah, I've seen everything stupid about school that one could see short of drug dealing.
I think the one that got me, just the stupidity in school. There were a couple stupid events that I saw, and they mostly had to do with teachers being stupid. One thing happened to my brother, and I felt really bad about this, but I feel bad about this to this day, but there's nothing I could have done, because there's nothing I could have done. When I was really young, so this was 1st through 3rd grade, my dad was a doctor, so we had money at the time. So he put me and my brother into this private school called Colorado Springs School, which, if anybody knows Colorado Springs, but doesn't know this school, if you've ever heard of the hotel The Broadmoor, which is on Cheyenne Mountain, it's kind of a big deal. I think Teddy Roosevelt stayed there. Big deal, very ritzy place. Mm-hmm. So the Broadmoor area, Broadmoor Bluffs, and the general location around that area is a very well-to-do area. The higher up you go on the mountain, the more expensive it gets. So very well-to-do area. And then Colorado Springs School is just a private school, and very nice place, big campus. They have their own private library. I mean, multiple buildings, the whole shebang. Mm-hmm. And this is back, when I was in 1st through 3rd grade. So that's 90. What is that going to be? We're just trying to see how big the Katamari was at that point. Let's see, that would have been like 93, 4, and 5, I think, something like that. Yeah, this is when computers were just becoming big. They had their entire computer lab. So this is not a bad school. This is a very expensive school, very well-to-do. Well, I was in, if I remember correctly, I was in 3rd grade at the time, and we'd already had some problems with the school. First of all, we lived like 30 miles away from the school. So what ended up happening, there was a bus service for the school that ran out as far as we were. I was trying to sit on this ledge, just pick up the truck there and whatever else is passing between these tunnels. And it was very hard for me to stay up there. There was a bus service, but the bus arrived we lived in like this little gas station town, basically, on I-25. And it's just the only thing this town is here was for the gas stop. It eventually grew bigger than that, but that's all it was. So
we're now. I should note we're literally so loud we don't so large we don't get the rail rainbow.
Yeah, we don't even get the rail rainbow.
We just get to fade to white.
So we were way out there. So we ended up getting this bus service, but because we were so far out, the bus wouldn't even get close to our house. You had to go into the gas station town to actually get to the bus. And you also had, the bus came at 5 a.m. And it would take you an hour to get back to school. Then you'd get to school, and you'd be at school until like 3 o'clock, and then my dad would pick us up, and he would take us home. It's a very, very long ways away, which was already a problem. So my brother had ADD, among other things. So he was on Ritalin and all that. And some interaction of his meds would cause him to get sleepy. And he was in, I think, first grade at the time. He fell asleep in class, and this was a common thing. And the teacher wouldn't let him leave, wouldn't let him go elsewhere. He just had to sit in his chair and sleep on the desk. He wouldn't get in trouble because of what was going on, but the kids would kick him. They'd actually beat him up while he was asleep, which was the straw that broke the camel's back and had us leaving But it was ridiculous. And that was just school policy. He could not leave the classroom. At this point in the episode, what we were doing is we were looking at the collection, because I think Mako was talking about stuff that we could collect and what the collection was like. You didn't think there was a collection in this game?
No, I was pretty sure there was, but I couldn't remember if you could actually look at it this time.
Yeah. So we were just looking through all the categories. So every single one of these categories has a certain amount of items in it, and items can be found in very specific places. So we were looking at our collection rating of how much of each thing. And you can look at this collection in multiple ways. So this is just the actual categories. So, teenagers and professionals and wheels and things like that. You can also go see a size chart, which will tell you, what's in what category. This can be really important, and especially for one of the later episodes, knowing this information is good. There's also names. These are all of the individual names of characters that you can find. It's kind of interesting. One of these got my attention. I can't remember which one. And then lastly, locations. These are not only where the things can be found, but also the names of individual things that you can find.
Some of which we haven't seen by now yet.
Yep. They didn't even show it to us. So Sparrow Hill, Baseball Field, Quail River. All the locations actually have a actual name and things that can be found specifically there.
And that was about all we had time for.
Yep. So we'll catch you guys next time, guys. Thanks for joining us.